Assessment is to determine whether it's a formative evaluation and summative evaluation. Okay, so in this type of assessment, we need to therefore know what is assessment for learning from assessment of learning. So assessment for learning pertains to the use of formative evaluation to determine and improve students' learning outcomes. So basically, this is our assessment for learning is assessment. This is a kind of assessment or evaluation you give to the students to assess whether they learn something from the discussion. So assessment of learning uses summative evaluation, which provides evidence of students' level of achievement in relation to curricular learning outcomes. So when you, as you can observe, we have formative and summative. That's the key word. So therefore, assessment for learning usually happens before and during the lesson, while assessment of learning happens after the unit or chapter. Next, okay, so formative assessment can be defined more specifically as all those activities undertaken by teachers and by their students in assessing themselves, which provide information to be used as feedback to modify the teaching and learning activities in which they are engaged. So this is the reason why this usually happens before or during the lesson, so that in case they need to modify the lesson or change their teaching strategies that they have to improve their teaching and learning process. Summative assessment. They are conducted at the end of each section or unit to find out student achievement. So it's very understandable. So there are typically traditional paper and pencil measures such as unit tests, long test exams, essays, or projects that form part a portion of a student's final grade. So just like in college, we have major exams, the midterm and the prelim. This takes part, some teachers have 30% of the total, the final grade, and some are 25%. So now we will have characteristics of formative and summative assessment. So these are their characteristics. We have the purpose. For formative, it is to provide ongoing feedback and adjustment to instruction. I already told you that. So for summative, to document student learning at the end of an instructional segment. So for summative, that is to make a record. Usually it is recorded. While in formative, you will record, but that is not included in the final grade. So when conducted, formative assessment, okay, I already told you that during and after instruction, while summative after. Student involvement. So in formative, of course, student involvement are encouraged. This is also, since we all know students have different learning styles, so for the teacher to be able to analyze what kind of teaching strategies he or she will use in the classroom for a certain topic, then the involvement of students is encouraged, so that you will also know how you will teach the lesson. While in summative, of course, it is discouraged because aside from this is recorded and included in the final grade, the student, the teacher, so that the teacher will know how much what is the level of understanding of the students at the end of the lesson. Of course, you will not include the student in making the summative assessment. Next, student motivation. For formative, it is intrinsic and mastery oriented. The very fact that this is not included in the final grade, of course, the motivation of the student is inside. Like, I wanted to learn, that's why I will study, even though there are no exams, recorded exams in the future. While in summative, of course, it is extrinsic and performance oriented because the student already know that this will be included in their final grade. Therefore, they will study hard to get the teacher role for formative assessment is to provide immediate and specific feedback and instructional correctives. So you will assess during the you will have assessment during the lesson, so you will provide specific feedback right away. Okay? So if there are any things that you will need to modify, then you will modify right away. That is during the lesson. While for summative, understanding, application, and reasoning because this is during the lesson. For summative, it's knowledge and comprehension. For formative level of specificity, it's highly specific and individual, especially because it's by topic and topic, so you will need specific examples, real life situations, while in summative, general and group-oriented. So you will already generalize, especially for like in the midterm or finals, the teacher will generalize, meaning all the topics or the subtopics of the lesson will be included. The structure will be flexible and adaptable. Because this can change. While in summative, the structure is rigid and highly structured. As we all know in our Ed 9, we already made a TOS, so we need to follow certain structure. And next, techniques is informal. For formative, it is informal because you can give direct to specific feedback, you can modify and everything. While in summative, it's formal. It's because, as what I said, you will need to follow certain steps, certain pattern on making the exams, especially for summative exams. So you will need to follow the guidelines we learn. Next, impact on learning. Formative is strong, positive, and long-lasting. So especially if the students are motivated to learn during the lesson, so since it is during the lesson, so it has strong and positive because of course, especially now, in the 21st century, we are following students' pace. So this is a strong learning and as much as possible, we make it long-lasting. While in summative, it's weak and fleeting, especially some students or most students just study because the exams are coming. After that, it's all positive. Next, the next kind of assessment are norm and criterion reference tests. So what is norm reference test? It gives us information on what the student can perform by comparing to another student. So this is mainly assessing one student from the other. Like this student is better, this student is not that good. Okay. So this is the reason why in classroom, especially in high school and elementary, we have ranks, right? Top 1 to 10. So this is how we assess the students. While the criteria reference test, it describes the performance of the students without reference to the performance of others, which uses present criteria or define an absolute standard of outcomes. So just like for example, during our effective speech in English, we have a speech choir, and the speech choir is by groups, and the teacher will actually rank us from 1 to 6, I guess, and then the grade will depend on what rank are you in. While in the criterion reference test, the teacher will give your criteria or rubrics for grading. So without the performance or without basis of the performance of others, you will be graded according to your own performance and according to the present criteria or rubrics. So these are the summary comparison of 2 basic approaches to achievement. So we have principal use. For norm reference test is survey testing. Survey testing because you are comparing performance from one person to another. While criterion reference test is mastery testing. So you are testing the mastery of the students on the topic. Next, major emphasis measures individual differences in achievement. So since you are comparing, of course, you are also getting into the individual differences of the students. While in criterion reference, it describes tasks students can perform in general. Okay, whether the students can perform the task well or not. Next, interpretation of results. Compare performance to that of other individuals. Of course, you compare. After you grade, that's why you have ranks. Next, compares performance to a clearly specified achievement domain. It's understandable. Content of courage typically covers a broad area of achievement, while in criterion reference typically focuses on a limited set of learning tasks. So since in our reference you are comparing students, therefore it has a broad area of achievement. Like in the final grade, it has a broad area of achievement have there the written works, the performance based, and then you rank the students. While in criterion reference, you just focus on one thing like reciting a poem. You are focusing on that kind of learning tasks and then grade the students or make your assessments. Next is the nature of test plan. Table of specification is commonly used. We already know what table of specification is. And criterion reference, detailed domain specifications are favored. So since this is general, like what are the domains, the cognitive domains, as you remember. So we have the next, item selection procedures. Items are selected that provide maximum discriminations among individuals to attain a reliable ranking. Easy items are typically eliminated from the test. As you remember in F9, we have here discrimination index and how to solve it. Like the number of the p-value of the students getting the correct scores and the p-value of the students getting the wrong scores for a certain item. So that's actually for a norm reference test assessment. So easy items are typically eliminated from the test. Next, criterion reference test includes all items needed adequately to describe performance. No attempt is made to alter item difficulty or to eliminate easy items to increase the spread of scores. So this is why we need to make the test. One of the things we need to consider is to make sure that the items covers all the cognitive domains that we have, cognitive levels, like from memorization to brain. Next, performance standards. Level of performance is determined by relative position in some known group ranks fifth in a group of 20. So, of course, performance standards, we rank the students according to their performance. Criterion reference test, level of performance is commonly determined by absolute standards. So, this is actually on the mastery. Demonstrate mastery by defining 90% of the